Alissa Turney was born on April 3rd, 1984. Alissa lived an outwardly typical life. She had grown up under the care of Michael Turney, her stepfather, who adopted her when her mother died from lung cancer. Michael Turney was a former sheriff's deputy who was now working as an electrician. Michael had 3 sons, but they were older and had already moved out of the house. Alissa still lived at home with Michael and her little sister Sarah, who was 5 years younger. The girls had very different relationships with Michael. With Sarah, he was relatively cool and laid back. However, with Alissa, who was slightly more rebellious, he was extremely uptight and a strict disciplinarian and would constantly monitor her whereabouts. By 2001, Alissa was a junior in high school. She was an average student. Outside her home and around her friends, Alissa was happy and full of energy, constantly smiling and having fun. She had a steady boyfriend, a part-time job at Jack in the Box, and dreams of a life beyond her hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Back home, though, she was miserable. Tensions with her stepfather were reaching boiling point, and all her energy was sucked away by a stepdad who didn't let her do anything and was always on her back, and at this point something had to give. May the 17th, 2001 was the last day of 17-year-old Alissa's junior year at Paradise Valley High School. It was also 12-year-old Sarah's end-of-the-year retreat at Waterworld. Michael dropped Alissa off in the morning as usual, then picked her up around lunchtime. Allegedly, they had an argument and she stormed off. Michael was supposed to pick up Sarah at 3 p.m, but he never showed up. Instead, Sarah walked over to a friend's house and waited for him there. When Michael turned up a few hours later, he gave Sarah the devastating news. Her sister was missing. On the way home, Sarah used her dad's cell phone to try and call Alissa. She couldn't reach her. Back at the house, in her room, Sarah found a note, which read, "Dad and Sarah, when you dropped me off at school today, I decided I really am going to California. Sarah, you said you really wanted me gone. Now you have it. Dad, I took $300 from you." Alissa left her cell phone and other personal items behind. That night she had plans to attend a party, but she never arrived. Michael filed a missing persons report the next day. However, with the presence of the note and the fact Alissa talked about running away, the police did not suspect foul play, and no police investigation took place. To most, this was just another teenage runaway. Even Alissa's stepbrother John, who knew that she was afraid of Michael, accepted that she'd likely fled the house after a fight with him. On May the 24th, a week after she left, Michael received a phone call from a California number where Alissa swore at him before hanging up. This would be the last time anyone apparently spoke to her, and with no police investigation taking place, the case would go cold until almost 5 years later, when an unexpected lead would blow everything wide open. 2006, self-proclaimed serial killer Thomas Albert Heimer told a prison guard that he had killed Alissa. He'd been in prison since 2003 for an unrelated murder. Heimer selected Alissa's photo from a lineup and identified her as one of his victims. He told authorities that he took her to a motel where he strangled her and dismembered her body in the bathtub. His story contained several details that conflicted with other witness statements about Alissa, and authorities quickly determined he had nothing to do with Alissa's case. For 7 years, no one asked many more questions about Alissa Turney. No one was out there looking for her, and law enforcement had shown little interest in picking up her case and attempting to find her. Alissa had vanished, presumed a runaway, and she was forgotten by all apart from her loved ones. But Thomas Heimer's confession had changed everything. People started wondering if there was more to this case than a simple runaway. And finally, law enforcement launched a greater investigation into what actually happened to the young woman, and what they would find would be shocking. The Phoenix Police Department's Missing Persons Unit opened Alissa Turney's case in 2008 and interviewed 200 people who had known her. It didn't take long before they discovered some alarming details about her stepfather, Michael. Michael Turney had always kept an abnormally close eye on Alissa, but investigators would learn just how obsessive he was when it came to his stepdaughter. He monitored her phone calls with a recording device, set up home surveillance cameras both inside and outside, and even followed her and filmed her while she was at work. Even more shocking, Alissa's friends told police that Michael had tried to sexually abuse her. Her boyfriend revealed that Michael had tried fooling around with her. And most disturbingly of all, Alissa had told friends that she had once woken up tied to a chair, gagged with Michael on top of her. But more horrors were yet to come. With all this information in hand, the police raided the home of Michael Turney. The police raid uncovered hours and hours of surveillance footage that Michael had collected using home cameras. They also found bizarre parent-child contracts in a seeming attempt to control her every action. One of these documents, signed by Alissa, contained a line clarifying that Mike never assaulted his stepdaughter. The search also uncovered something else: 30 improvised explosive devices, 19 high-caliber assault rifles, 2 handmade silencers, and a 98-page manifesto entitled Diary of a Madman Martyr. Mike had previously told authorities he believed Alissa was taken by a local electricians' union in response to a former feud between himself and the association. In his manifesto, he described his plan to bomb the union's hall and eliminate as many people as possible before taking his own life. Following the search and the items found, Mike was charged and eventually went to prison in 2010 for possessing pipe bombs, but no charges were laid for Alissa Turney's disappearance. Her sister Sarah, who did not believe Mike was responsible for her sister's disappearance for all these years, was now convinced he was responsible and was left frustrated and heartbroken. She was told by law enforcement that the best way to keep her sister's case alive was to build a following on social media, so she did just that. By the time her father left prison in 2017, Sarah had created multiple accounts dedicated to getting justice for Alissa. Eventually it paid off. After creating a TikTok account which now has over 1 million followers, she danced to The Sign, a song by Ace of Base. Under it was the caption, "When police say your only hope of getting your domestic terrorist father tried for your sister's murder is media exposure." Another video she uploaded to her TikTok was a clip of Alissa in which she can be heard saying "Dad's a pervert" in the background. And another video filmed after Mike left prison, Sarah secretly recorded them together, in which she directly asked her father if he murdered Alissa, in which he responded, "I will tell you all when I'm on my deathbed." As well as TikTok, she launched a podcast which again amassed a large following. Sarah was doing everything in her power to keep Alissa's story alive. Finally, in 2020, Sarah's hard work and dedication to getting justice for her sister paid off. Authorities arrested Mike Turney. He was charged with second-degree murder. "I'm shaking and I'm crying," Sarah wrote on Twitter that evening. "We did it, guys. He's been arrested. It took almost 20 years, but we did it." Though police did not say how they came to arrest Michael Turney, or whether Sarah's social media efforts helped solve Alissa Turney's disappearance, the county attorney did acknowledge Sarah's social media campaign in a press conference.